Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the recap of Stage 3 of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. From Geneva to Poligny, we are entering France. Leaving Switzerland, we have. My prayers were heeded. If Wiebes won this stage, despite me picking her, I was going to do like a video on Instagram. I've been popping off on Instagram, actually, post Tour de France just quietly, pats on my own back. Where I was going to superimpose my head on Matt Damon's head when they go past the sirens in the Odyssey, if Wiebes won this stage. And everyone listened. We didn't have full coverage, but it was 157 Ks. We start with the Col of the Sickle. So, farm equipment, communism, I don't know, but the Col de la Fossile, 11.6 Ks, 6.3%, I guess the same thing. Descent. And then the Côte de la Joux, 4K, 6% plateau, rolling terrain, 2,500 meters elevation gain, more rollers. Key part of the stage here is this 2K, 5.6% climb. You really had to read the parkour correctly here, and I must confess I did not in yesterday's preview. The bonus gate is 600 meters after the QOM gate. So we have two different gates on the climb, which can be confusing for the uninitiated. And then it's like a bit of a flat on top, a lot of crosswind, descent, and then last flat 15K to the finish in Poligny. Yeah, no coverage before the start, so we were dot watching on the various trackers. What was your feeling? Be honest, Benji, because you picked Wiebes too to hedge your bets against me. Did you think Wiebes was going to get dropped?
I actually, based on yesterday, no. Because yesterday demotivated me against the Wiebes reality. And also, to be honest, like, the start of today's stage started moving towards a potential Wiebes outcome based on what I was seeing on the tracker. And part of that was on that sickle climb, for example, where, yes, there were attempts to join a breakaway. At least that's what I assume based on the fact that Pieterse won the QM points, by the way, which he's done a few times over the last couple of days, so that might be one of our goals. But we also had a crash in the first 12 kilometers by, I think, Volding, who hit the deck. We didn't see it because there was no broadcast, but there was a video on Twitter by the race organizers where we saw her laying on the floor on a footbath. So she actually hit the floor. Didn't look that terrible. She was on the bike pretty quickly. So I don't think it impacted her too much, but it's always a crash, so it's not ideal. Now, the point I was trying to make is, 2 kilometers from the top, I was still looking at the ticker and I didn't see Wiebes getting dropped yet. And I thought to myself, if it doesn't happen on this climb, then why would it happen on the 4 kilometer, 5.7% climb afterward, Patrick? But that was my mistake.
Well, she said she was dropping like on the ticker, and then 5 seconds later, she's on 1 minute 30. So I was like, wow, she really dropped. So it was curious because not all. This is a great example, this stage, and I think it's going to be, especially we're going to discuss what happens on the hills later. Not all climbs are created equally. Speaking of the sickle climb, all men are equal. Some are more equal than others. The climb is longer. Vos got rinsed by Wiebes on that 5-minute climb in Lausanne. Rinsed. Wiebes was so good. And then the reverse is here. Wiebes gets cooked. And Vos survives, Géry survives, Rook survives, Franziska Koch, I think hers is more, she's clearly come out of it, whether she was sick or her legs have come back. Koch is performing back at her normal level. So what I would say, yeah, Wiebes is back to where we maybe would think on the climbs, and the other versatile sprinters, they got their money's worth. And we have what I was asking for. I was like, get rid of Wiebes, Pool, have yourself a versatile sprint, Géry, Rook, Kim Lecourt-Pina, Vos, let's say you've all got a 20% chance to win a Tour de France Femmes stage. Delightful. Go for it. That's a big chance to win. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, because while those riders are in that leftover peloton, that reduced peloton where quite a few riders, not just Wiebes, Balsamo was also off the back, for example, also an important thing to note because she's the second fastest rider in the peloton if we look at actual sprinting here. But in the span of the next 40 kilometers, we do get a breakaway forming. And that breakaway does include riders where I'm like, okay, if this breakaway collaborates, then I don't really know who's going to catch this. In that breakaway, Femke de Vries by Visma Leasebike, Celia Géry by FDJ Swiss. Rosa Klöser once again doing a pretty solid race so far for Canyon Schramm.
She's been good.
Lotte Kopecky, Wenke, so 2 riders for SD Works. Liana Lippert for Movistar and Loes Aardegeest for Trek. Brandt for Trek as well, so a duo there as well. Gekira for AG Insurance. Jara Kastelein for Phoenix. And Sigrid Haugse, the Norwegian champion for UnoX Mobility. So I look at this breakaway and I think to myself, if this break collaborates, they make it easily, right? But I was wrong.
Yeah, they get pulled back. It was pre-coverage when they got pulled back, unfortunately. I guess De Vries is in there. She's a GC threat. Jerry's probably the favorite from the group, I would say. You think ST works with Vinca, they'd be like, let's go for it. Why not? And they get brought back. Luke pulled up an image in our group chat. Let me bring it up. It was just as they were getting caught. And I don't know, there was a UnoXer yesterday. Was it Haugse? I'm not sure it was. There was a UnoXer yesterday when Van Damme and Jerry's non-cooperative group got caught. She tried to go again. I don't think it was Haugse.
I also don't think it was, but I also don't remember who it was instead.
She's a Norwegian natty champ. I think it was
Koster?
Yeah, because she was already in the break. I don't know, but UnoX is definitely a tactic. It's a great one too, because there is this is the mental framework of how the peloton is operating right now. I'll run it through you. No one wants to do more work than the other GC teams. The GC teams have got the TT tomorrow, and they've got the big stages coming up. So no one wants to work more than the other. On the other hand, they do not want a break to go where the other wins that they are not in, because then they look bad. If Jerry goes in a break and she wins and Voss is not there, it looks bad, vice versa. So the GC teams all mark each other out, but also don't want to work. And then if you're the lucky enough rider that just slips off the front, Rihanna Marcus yesterday, Sigrid Hausset today, there is complete then ambivalence to your presence. You're just allowed to go. And it was very, very strange that Vibers has been... I never thought this would happen. I was like, Vibers has been dropped. Hallelujah. And... No offense to her, but you have a different race, have someone else. I was like, okay, versatile sprint teams, you got your wish, you dropped Vibers, you got a chance now. Normally, you just immediately, in the men's tour, I don't want to compare everything to the men's tour, but I'm afraid I have to do it here. In the men's tour, when Jonathan Milan gets dropped in this situation, EF, Visma, and...
Movistar for Aular would start pacing.
Actually, Movistar, respect Movistar Giro. They were cooking. Yeah, they put Lorenzo Milesi on the front. And, FDJ, United Suez, Visma, and EF, they all just would put one rider on the front and say, happy, we're having a sprint. Thank you very much. Or even AG Insurance for Kim LaCourte-Pina. She can take bonies.
If we take a look at the leftover riders in that group, hypothetically, then Voss is arguably the person that I'd look at to win a versatile reduced sprint here.
She was third yesterday, and Balsamo and Vibers aren't there.
So I felt like I was waiting a long time to see Visma take over at that point, and they did at some point, but to be clear, the gap for Haux, it went to 1 minute 30, 2 minutes relatively quickly, and SD works with Kopecky, instead of opting for a strategy where they control it for Kopecky, they decided to attack towards it, which I don't hate that strategy.
No, it's a great one.
But doing so when the gap is 2 minutes is a bit risky. Because you might not make it.
You might not make it, but you got no one to control.
Yeah.
And also I don't think Kopecky is in... I don't think she thought she could pass the hill in close to the peloton.
What do you mean?
The 2K6... I think if they wait with Kopecky, I'm not sure she's in the Voss group after that 2K 6% hill. So
I don't think she is. I agree.
That's why I think they wanted to race in front, and it's 100% correct what they do. Kopecky goes, no one tags her. Still no one pulls. The gap goes 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes 10. Suddenly FDJ put a rider, Visma put 2 riders. But I'm like...
It's too late.
It's too late also because this is a gamble that teams do when... They're used to doing this. Actually happens all the time. You think, oh, they're being so silly letting the gap out. But then they actually bring it back easily anyway. Haux is not some random Conti rider. She was 12th in the Giro, no? 13th in the Giro.
I think she had a great result there, but the one thing that came to mind for me was the way she won the Norwegian NC, which is basically going solo with like 100 kilometers to go and riding to the finish ahead of everybody. That's the stuff she does. She got 14th, by the way, finishing 7th on the final crazy stage, the truck stage. The one if you get over the climb and you keep trucking, that you get a good result.
She was 12th in World Champs ITT. This is not some misc Conti rider who's got an invite, right? Like, you're not just going to bring back the gap on her. And 5 minutes like that is done. You may as well not try.
Yeah, with 5 minutes, I was like, okay, if everything goes perfect, then yes, maybe it still happens. But to me, it was a fight between two people then.
Yeah.
And that is Hauksen and Kopecky. But I have to confess, for a period of the race, I was very confused why there was no time gap for Kopecky at all. Like, 20 kilometers straight, I was like, where is Kopecky? And then suddenly there's a helicopter shot with maybe like 40 kilometers to go, where the gap is 4 minutes 40 from Hauksen to the peloton, and Kopecky's only a minute 20 behind Hauksen at this point. So she's not actually close that much up to that point, because, again, she attacked when the gap was maybe 2-ish minutes, so she's been able to close roughly 40 seconds to Hauksen, and that shows how strong Hauksen is. Like, I think you and I both agree that Kopecky's not at her best level, but that doesn't take away from how impressive what Hauksen is doing here. But to me, it looked like it was a 1v1 between those two. Maybe with 26 kilometers to go when the peloton started kicking in action on the hill again. By the way, the run into that hill, two things about it.
Oh, wow.
The sprint towards it, it's like a chicane into a very narrow segment. The first rider hitting that, who was it? I'm actually not sure.
A canyon rider. There's this old fella in a deck chair, and he sees his life flash before his eyes.
And on the other side of the road, another fella standing by the side of the road falls off the road.
Shouldn't laugh. I hope he's okay, bud.
I hope he's okay, but it was funny.
I thought there was a big chance of a crash. They nearly got airborne. They come into this dipper and they just hit it at crazy speed. I think a canyon rider goes into the grass. I thought she was going to crash. She somehow holds it up. But the reason I was like, you cannot let it out to 5 minutes, because you are then going to have to take back so much time on the climb. And then when that happens, you will have no domestiques. And then you will need absolutely perfect cooperation from a group of 12. That will never happen after the climb to bring back the 2 minutes.
Especially with the pattern we've seen in this race so far, which is hammer the climb as hard as we can and at top, realizing that 10 people are in our wheel, so we're not going to relay with anyone. That's what we've seen so far, and that's kind of exactly what happens on this climb with 26 kilometers to go, the one you just mentioned. We see Kim Lecour-Pinard doing the first attack. Niviedoma's in the wheel, Niedermayer is close, De Vries, Ferrand-Prévot, Longo Borghini, Celia Jaris up there as well. Missing is Reusser, Anne van der Breggen, Blasi, Flodarczyk, and we see another move by, actually, before we see that move, they sit up first. And that's when Reusser, I think, returns to get away with maybe a little Trek rider, maybe Fisher Black, I'm not completely sure.
I don't think so.
Don't know who it was in the background, to be honest. Might be Holmgren, I don't know. I really don't know. But then the attacks come again.
AVDB and Holmgren and Blasi were definitely not there.
Yeah, okay. There was some track rider in the distance. That's the only thing I can mention there. But then attacks restart. Niviedomar goes. Vollering counters. Niviedomar counters Vollering. And I thought to myself, okay, I even wrote it in the notes, Patrick. It says, Kasia takes the 2 seconds. That's wrong. Because the seconds are not at the QM gate.
100%.
They're 500 meters further. And the next 500 meters are the weirdest piece of racing I've seen in a very long time, Patrick.
9 GC leaders across the road. Every team's GC leader lined up flat across the front. I think Kasia definitely thought that, because Niviedomar was on a gap at one point, and it looked like De Vries was doing it comfy. De Vries was never in trouble. He was PFP then on the second kick. KLCP, she knew where the bony gate was. She sprints almost uncontested. Now the other's like, what are you sprinting for? We've done the sprint. And she's like, no, this is the sprint. And so she takes the 2 seconds remaining because the 2 in the break. And then PFP's dropped. So Ferrand-Prévot looks like she's struggling. Demi looks around, but she looks into like the thick of the group. She sees maybe a Visma jersey. It's De Vries.
Sorry, but this fight for the bonus seconds was fun, but it's going to be completely irrelevant by the end of this
You
race.
reckon?
Even after tomorrow's time trial, these 2 seconds will be irrelevant.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Royce will be like, I don't care because they'll put you on a lot of time tomorrow. But yes, it was entertaining. You do see how strong riders are. And yeah, PFP comes back. Still a good group. We've got ELB, Nuvia Doma, Niedermeyer, Vollering. Jerry's just off the back on 10 seconds, but she can't get
Correct.
back. Voss is in a group behind with Holmgren, Blasi, Van der Breggen, and Vladarchik. So the 4th place for UAE, like Vladarchik is UAE's best. Well, Blasi was literally having to control and break in like the stage there. I don't know what. Ty Zonneveld did a fantastic job interviewing yesterday. Got to give him credit for it. He interviewed Sherry Pridham and the team at UAE because they were like, yeah, we just don't want to put too much pressure on her, and she's not a leader here. And he's like, I understand that, but why is she also being used as Tim de Klerk? Like that seems not. Why is that the case? I don't know.
She's the favorite for the white jersey before the race started, by the way. Just want to drop that piece of information.
It's bizarre.
Anyway,
I don't know why she's doing it.
I don't know why she's doing it either, but yeah. I don't know what it would be like to be that rider within a group of people that might be hardcore pressuring you to do that, Maybe she's...
I don't know. How about Vladarchik doesn't get dropped on the climb? You want to be a GC leader. How about you don't get dropped?
I agree. And the thing with ELB is that Elisa Lamborghini will be better on parcours like this, on these hilly parcours. She's more punchy than the other two. The reality is that Van Toe will be a problem for her. And that's why I don't believe in Lamborghini finishing at least top 2 podium. I don't really see either at this Tour de France Femmes. So that's why I think co-leadership is exactly what a team like this would be looking like. But Lamborghini was pulling for a bit in that group ahead, but then she ended up staying at the back, I'm pretty sure. So you went through the names. Kind of irrelevant that they're splitting groups because it comes back together, those groups, with about 12 kilometers to go. So I'm talking about Vos, Blasi, Holmgren, Kerbauer, Ruuk, all coming back with Jerry as well to the group with Ferrand-Prévot and so forth. But we've got one more hill to come. Well, bump in the road. At this point, groups like giving up. They're like, if we lose 17 minutes today, it's fine. Is like the mental state that it looked like. They were on just about 3 minutes, something like that.
Well,
and then the most legendary thing in the world happens, Patrick.
Well, Cock pulled for a bit and then stopped. And then Hakira attack pulled for like a minute.
We gotta talk. We gotta talk about Justine. No, I'm not having that attack pull nonsense that you're pulling up here.
What was it?
Justine Hakira goes to the front, speaks to KLCP, says, get out of my way, goes to the front, does a legendary jersey zip up with unlimited aura, and starts trucking. I gotta say, those 10 seconds of her pushing people out of the way and zipping up her jersey have to be the coolest 10 seconds of this entire day. The aura was off the charts, Patrick.
Yeah, I think there would have been more aura if Visma, AG Insurance, and EF actually just controlled the break before the climb, and KLCP and Vos could have sprinted for the win. But
I agree on Visma's side. I actually don't think it's 100% KLCP, etc., AG Insurance responsibility. I'd rather see them in the chasing group with Kopecky.
4 seconds.
I'd rather see Hikir in the group with Kopecky trying to hunt for Haugset. That's the vibe I'm looking for, which they tried earlier in the bigger group that existed, but they never followed that up,
KLCP could have won this stage. If the stage win is still in play after that hill, the group is going to behave differently.
I see that. I agree with you there, actually.
But anyway, going back, forget about the peloton. Vos comes third, KLCP third in the sprint. But let's go back to the front. It looks like Haugset's journey is coming to an end. Kopecki's 40 seconds, 30 seconds after the climb. On the descent, 10 seconds. It goes down to 9 seconds. She's got her in her sight. Haugset, very nice, but Kopeck's coming. She's going to get to your wheel. No pressure from behind, and she's going to dust you in the sprint. And Kopecky cracks. Apparently she gets cramps, and she goes from 9 seconds on this headwind section to the finish and just collapses. And the gap goes all the way back up to 20 seconds. Kopecky's gone. It's incredible that, like, it comes down to 9 seconds when your decision, Kopecky's decision to jump, it could have been at 1 minute 30, it could have been at 1 minute, it could have been, and then in the end it was 9 seconds.
It's funny because, like, what was it? 10 kilometers to go, 12 kilometers to go, and the gap was 10 seconds. Someone texted me, is she doing a Segard?
Yeah,
I thought to myself, nah, I think she's getting cooked. And the reason I think that is because we've not seen the best Kopecky in this race so far, and there's no logic to doing a Segard here because what's Haugset going to do when you catch Haugset that will negatively affect you?
Yeah, nothing.
It's better if you catch her because the tempo goes down and you can recover for your sprint where you're better than her.
Exactly. There's no peloton pressure behind. Like, you can just roll in. So indeed, she cracks, and Haugset wins a big stage victory. 112 Ks in front, by the way. 2/3 of the stage, 88 of those kilometers solo, and wins by 1:24 ahead of Kopecky. Voss leads the peloton on 2 minutes 50. No major GC contenders lost time except no one really. All the other GC contenders in the group. And yeah, UnoX take a big win. It's Haugset's first victory outside of Norwegian Natty Champs this year. It's UnoX. Have they won a tour stage before?
I don't think so.
It's UnoX's first win outside of a Scandinavian Natty Champs this year.
Really? Well, and it's also
Finland
Haugset's
and Scandinavia.
first win outside of a Scandinavian champs, right?
Yeah.
So does that not mean that Haugset has all the victories of the team?
Yep. Oh no, they won.
ITT they won as well, probably.
Atasalo and Allerud won races.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
this is by far their biggest win.
I mean, like, it's fair to say that it doesn't shock me that it's by far their biggest win. They're a relatively recent team still, like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, they started in 2022. One.
It's also like a run like Haugset. There's something about these Scandinavians, man, Pat. There's something in their genes. I'm telling you. With 10 kilometers to go and the gap went down to 9 seconds. I'm Belgian, and somehow Haugset made me sit in front of my computer, shouting "row, row, row" for like 10 seconds without me realizing I was doing it. There's something in them. I don't know what's happening, but her winning a stage, not just winning the stage, Patrick, getting the yellow jersey in the Tour de France Femmes for, I'd say 1 day, but to be honest, I think tomorrow's time trial gap is what to Reusser? 2 minutes 10. I think she's cooked.
You reckon?
It's gonna be close.
Yeah, Reusser should put 2:10 into her, but yeah, it's UnoX's second ever World Tour victory. They only won a Burgos stage before this, I think, and so by far their biggest win, by far. And they do it in brave fashion.
Actually,
and yeah, the GC
Haugset was 2 minutes exactly back on Reusser on the Nevegal time trial.
Where's that?
The Italy mountain time trial.
Yeah,
the Van der Breggen one.
Yeah, but it's a flat one.
No, what do you mean? Now it's a flat one, I know.
I think the world champs last year, I know it's different conditions, but they're in 31 Ks. She lost 3:15. It's going to be
really close,
within
Patrick.
10 seconds, yeah.
The yellow jersey might give her a bit more watts mentally.
Yeah.
Or
true.
physically a bit less, depends on how you see it.
So indeed, tomorrow's stage, we've had 2 sprints and a break. Tomorrow's stage is the all-important individual time trial. First one we've had for a while, from Gevry-Chambertin to Dijon, 21 Ks. It does have some climbing in it. We've got the Lacet de Marcenais, 2K, 7%, little flat downhill section, and another 500 meters, 600 meters of climbing after that. Then there's a long pedaling descent, and then like 4Ks of flat, which should be pretty fast, where they finish in the town in Dijon. Last year in World Champs, pretty similar parcours, and Reusser put a lot of time into everybody. I think she looks pretty good. I think Demi's crashed today. How will that affect her tomorrow? We don't know. She looked pretty sprightly at the finish, where she attacked PFP again and actually had her on a gap, but then they didn't continue.
Important thing that we didn't mention, indeed, that PFP was gap not just once, but I think twice today.
Yeah. First by
I don't know what it
Kelsey,
means
P,
for
then Demi.
the big days, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it matters too much, but Ferrand-Prévot was also in the first stage last year on the punchy climb, probably the best rider. So we'll see. But the TT tomorrow, it's a threshold effort of 25 minutes. Royce is the big favourite because of the climb, especially over Backstedt. But the climb does equalise things. I think I'm behind in the picks comp, so...
It's not even close. It's over already.
Nah, it's never over. I'm going Anna van der Breggen.
Okay, I'm going Reusser. If Van der Breggen wins, we can come back. If Reusser wins, it's over.
Yeah, that's why I have to switch it up. I think the climb helps Ferrand-Prévot versus a flat one.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We don't have data on all the riders that are competing for GC here on time trials because there's so little time trials in women's cycling. There's been more than in the past because I swear there were years without any time trial kilometers. Now, we've come to the point where I think in the preview I said that I expect Ferrand-Prévot to lose 60 seconds to Vollering and anywhere between 60 to 90 between to Van der Breggen and Reusser. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but I don't know. It's the fact that she got gapped on that climb today is probably irrelevant for the grand scheme of things, but somehow that makes me a little bit less confident, you know? Because for Reusser, I think it's fine to not be able to follow on a punchy climb, whether it's positioning or her punch in the first place. I expect her to be on her level tomorrow, you know? Because that's her terrain.
Yeah.
With Ferrand-Prévot, she doesn't come across like time trial is her terrain, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we don't know. So that's why tomorrow's a very entertaining or interesting, rather, stage. I think outsiders might be riders with different time slots if the wind changes. So perhaps Dani Hengeveld, who won Dutch Natty Champs, if the wind changes, significantly from the start to the finish, perhaps her. But I think Reusser does it. She's just too good. I think Backstedt lost 12 seconds on a flatter Swiss TT to her, and so I think the climb puts Reusser over her, but I'm going to go with AVDB anyway.
I do think that Backstedt might do better than we expect her to. But on paper, Reusser should clean it. I think it's that simple. How do we see the gaps with other GC riders? Because we're mentioning... I think in the preview of this podcast, we spoke about Blasi's time trial and we spoke about her Spanish NCITT where she got fourth, but I think that's the one where she had her hard crash in the recon of it just before. So I don't think we can count that one. I expect Blasi to be better than the level we saw in that NCITT, but regardless of that,
I think she'll be bad.
I don't expect her to be bad.
You're a rusty chain. Flat tires.
Flat tire. Yeah.
Benji, they said that she's not allowed to go full.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't listen. But she's clearly listening so far.
Whatever, man. It's... You know that, like, the quickest way for them to have this stop being an issue and stop being asked about it is just to be normal about it.
Yeah.
That's the quickest way to stop the issue. Is just like stop. But yeah, Blasi, I think she's not going to do a good time. I think ELB
if she's not doing a good time, then I'm coping and saying it's because she was not allowed to.
Exactly. She got the out. I think ELB is going to lose like 20 seconds to Vollering. I think Kasia, she won't. Well, the climb helps Kasia.
I think it might be more.
Yeah, it might be more.
Vollering's pretty good at time trials.
Yeah, especially one with the hill. What about Kasia? Flat's not good for her.
I don't expect this time trial to be great for Kasia. I think she's losing time. This is where if she doesn't podium the race, the time trial might be the gap that she needed to get there. Is how I perceive it right now.
Because normally her TDFFs, she's like out punched everybody, taken bonies here and there, and then defended on the climbs, not really dropped everybody. 2020 when she won excluded.
Yep.
But yeah, she then has to like drop people to take big time back after she gets cooked in a TT by Royster and Demi. So going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch. We also had Tour of Poland stage 1 today. Unfortunately, they got it right last year. Last year's parkour in Poland was really, really good. I thought they like had some fantastic stages and a great mix, but this year they've gone back to 3 zero altitude sprint stages that are very hectic. And today, Big Johnny Milan got the timing right, beat Magnier. Noah Hobbs third was a good result. Then Milano, Tyson, and Garcia Cortina Hofstede, Moschetti, Mayus, Zacharias Kola, Lowland for UNOX round out the top 10. Tomorrow we have the same stage. So Milan v Magnier, I'd say.
Milan looks better. It was that simple today.
Yeah.
Magnier just wasn't fast enough to be competitive, so I assume that Milan will do the same again tomorrow, but you never know because a sprint is a sprint. But I do like these. I like the Polonia sprint stages with the asterisk that if they're safe, because in the past they weren't. So that's a big detail when it comes to a race like Tour de Polonia. Outside of this race, do we have any other races you want to chat about, or did you watch the China Zhejiang Trans-Himalayan race?
I did not watch that one. Burgos starts tomorrow. We'll do a little Burgos preview because we not doing a weekly show this week. It is 5-day stage race in Burgos region. We've got steep climbs, crosswind stages, castle, punchy uphill sprints. That's what we have on stage 1, the Castillo. That's where Del Toro put a stick into Ciccone's front wheel, and then Ciccone couldn't fix it, and then he lost GC because of it. It's actually a nice sprint. It's a 1K 6% up to the castle there in Burgos. Stage 2, we have a punchy 7-minute climb. Looks quite nice, but could be. By the way, caveat for every single stage, could be crosswinds in the middle.
I want you to wait a second here, because stage 1, that uphill finish, I am begging to see Big Matthew Brennan reviving up that castle sprint, to be honest. But like you said, stage 2 is a bit harder than that. GC, it's all about it's a different parkour than usual, huh?
That's why, yeah, it's well, they normally have these. They got then on stage 3 they have this like 7K 9% climb. They don't normally have one of them so close to finish.
Where's Picon Blanco?
That's what, yeah, it's replaced. I don't think it is Picon Blanco, but it's like replaced where Picon Blanco normally is. And then, but that's normally further from the finish, Picon Blanco, which makes the stage a bit more tactical. Stage 4 is actually just a sprint. And then stage 5 is the famous Laguna Stenaya round. So we have 2 like 7K 9% more or less finishes. And whereas normally Laguna Stenaya is the only mountaintop finish. In terms of start list, we have indeed Brennan for the sprints. I think his main competitor is Lund Andresen. I think he's also good for that stage 1. Donati too is good for that stage 1.
I look forward to seeing him.
Yeah. So a couple of good sprinters for the Meyerhoff. Give me a bit too much credit.
Felix Gil, who the fuck is that? Felix Gallet Burgos is a combination I never expected to see. Is that weird?
He should win. Gol should just win.
There's something about Felix Gall where these types of climbs 2 years ago we would have said, nah. But he was so good at the Giro, you know?
Yeah, and also San Sebi was good on the Arlides climb, and these climbs are longer. These aren't 10-minute climbs, the 2 main GC ones. I forgot to mention Pithy. I think Pithy's probably his third or so. I would go for Pithy on stage 1, not Donati.
I think Brennan is my pick for stage 1, but there's no prediction contest there, so it doesn't matter too much.
Ciccone, who was the strongest climber last year, Bilbao.
He's the favorite for me.
Tullet, Nordhagen.
I'm feeling Ciccone vibes. I expect Ciccone to.
It's got to be Oscar Onley.
Yeah, but Oscar Onley is coming back from injury, you know.
This is a good parkour for him.
Yeah, but can he ride his bike yet?
He must be
His first race back.
Clément Champoussin?
I'm not having that shit.
Where's Castro de Hervé? It's nowhere near. That's where he won his stage in the Vuelta.
Were you going to pick Miguel Angel Lopez?
I don't think I can. David Guru?
Yeah. I'm feeling vibes of Ciccone for this one.
Pellizzari.
That's not a bad pick either.
Can he climb?
Yes, he can climb.
I'm not sure.
Depends on what
I'm not so sure.
how long our list is these days.
I'm going Lorenzo Fortunato.
I think I just got an aneurysm.
He was good last year. He was
Yeah,
third.
but not on these kind of climbs.
He was second in GC to Del Toro last year on this
I'm not
parkour.
having that. Because Ciccone crashed.
Yeah, but he was Ciccone didn't move me in Getcho. You got to drop Camprubi.
You're underrating Camprubi at this point. Come on.
I think I'm adequately.
I feel like this whole Burgos preview is just our last two brain cells trying to work.
The thing is, the great thing about this race is we have no idea what shape any of these riders are in. That's the beautiful. They could have been eating gelato all July. They could have been living like a monk at 2,500 meters. We're gonna find out.
And Roglic was supposed to be here, but he crashed.
True.
Well, hit by a car, and therefore is missing this race. And I think it might have been
He missed Sunset
Getcho
too.
before that. Sunset, yeah, sorry. He's still on the planning for the Vuelta though, and there's another man that signed up for the Vuelta today as well. Tadej Pogacar announced his arrival there, but I think we'll talk about Pogacar Vuelta maybe and transfers in a next week weekly show, right?
Can I do my final pick?
Okay, you can have a final pick.
Enric Mas out sprints Felix Gol after in the final of stage 3 in a 2-up sprint, and then defends on Laguna Stenaya.
Do I need to seriously comment on that?
Yes, you do. You need to seriously comment on it. You think Gol's faster?
I'm saying it's not happening.
He was good in San Seb. You weren't watching Enrique?
I'm happy for you.
Enrique's he's on.
Mas out sprinting anyone is impossible.
It's not impossible.
And if Gol is there, then I think someone else will be there. Ciccone is going to be there and slap them both is what I'm saying.
Pellizzari v Ciccone v Gol v... Yeah. Alrighty. I'm looking forward to the race. I think it'll be quite entertaining. It starts tomorrow. Till then, ciao, ciao.